been through trials and had difficult times in his life, but he's so successful and happy in his life, and we've enjoyed so much getting to know Andrew. And Alex and Andrew met through their YouTube videos and their love of filming elevators, and so he wants to come share some of his experiences in his life that y'all might can gain some knowledge and insight into kind of how things might go for y'all's children through the upcoming years. And so, Andrew, you want to take it away?
First, how's everyone doing tonight?
Tired.
Tired?
I'm exhausted. I had a PSAT today.
You can't be in here if you're tired. Go ahead and you need some caffeine.
I got my caffeine, so.
First of all, my name is Andrew Reams.
Hello.
I'm from Roanoke, Virginia. I'm 36 years old, and y'all may wonder why I'm here in Dallas, Texas. First of all, I have family down in San Antonio. I was visiting my dad, but Alex Stack here has been a good friend of mine for several years. I met him through the YouTube. I have a very strange hobby. I videotape elevators, and I put them up on YouTube, and so does this kid right here. And apparently I inspired this kid to do it, because I've been doing it for a long time, but that's beside the point. The whole thing I wanted to come out and say here is, I'm sure most of you already know this, I have a condition called Asperger syndrome. And I'm sure there's some people, okay, if you have Asperger syndrome, please raise your hand. I'd like to see a show. Okay, so we got quite a few of y'all in here, so. What about other forms of autism? Do we have any full-blown autism? Okay.
Okay, what is Asperger syndrome?
Asperger syndrome, I'm no expert. Before I get started, I'm not a doctor. This is not medical advice. This is just my own personal experience. But anyway, Asperger syndrome is from what I understand, it's a form of high-functioning autism, whereas some people with autism, like one of my fans came to Roanoke to visit me, and he was as excited as I am right now to visit me because like, Andrew, I'm having a very good time. But inside he's like, Andrew, I'm having a very good time. It's just, like I said, I'm not a doctor, but people like me with Asperger syndrome, some of the biggest traits of Asperger's is like, we're into ourselves. We think about ourselves a lot. We talk about ourselves a lot. We can fixate on stuff, which my fixations are elevators, locks, and fluorescent light fixtures. But anyway, I guess I'll start out by telling y'all what I went through growing up, because I know a lot of y'all probably get picked on in school, don't y'all?
Yes.
Y'all get called names and stuff, and you feel like other people are better than you, don't you? Well, the truth of the matter is y'all are going to lead normal lives. When I was a kid growing up, I had a very rough time in school. I was always getting in trouble. I was always getting made fun of. I had no friends. People were mean to me, and my teachers didn't understand me. So my parents, we ended up going to the doctor, and I was diagnosed with something called ADHD. I'm sure many people in this room know what that means. Personally, I believe that's just one of the many labels they slap on these conditions so they can push these drugs into these kids, which I ended up on God knows how many medicines as a kid, which didn't really help. But anyway, basically, high school, I ended up, I'm sorry, I lose thought sometimes. When I was in elementary school, I was in a private school for learning disabled children. So it wasn't so bad because I was around a bunch of other kids that were learning disabled. I got some services and I was able to do okay. Fast forward to middle school. This is where things really start to get bad because your bodies go through puberty, your body chemicals change, and when you're on all these medicines, it can really screw things up. Anyway, I was in a small, I'm not going to name the school, but I was in a small private school, or actually not small, I was in a private school in St. Louis, and 7th grade went okay. Bam, I hit puberty, things go crazy, and I'm doing really weird things in class. I'm blurting out obscenities and stuff like that, and I'm out of control, so I end up getting thrown out of the school and labeled behavior disorder. So, okay, I get a little bit emotional talking about this sometimes, but okay, now, 1990, okay, I got thrown out of Westminster, And, oh, I just said the name of the school out here. But anyway, I got thrown out of the school. Really, they're really Christian. I mean, yeah. But anyway, I end up in the public school system. I'm fine, Steve. I'll sit a little bit. I end up in the public school system. Parkway, St. Louis County Schools. Okay, I can brag and say I got thrown out of every school in St. Louis County. Okay, at this time I'm just a disaster. I mean, I am a monster. I mean, I'm cussing. I mean, I'm rebelling toward my parents. I'm hurting my sister, torturing the pets. I mean, I'm doing some very bad things. But this is all in the past. But anyway, I go to Parkway West. I'm in a self-contained room. You know, I mean, are y'all familiar with what a self-contained room is in special ed? Mm-hmm. It's basically a room where, you know, where you're with people with sometimes problems a lot worse than you. Well, anyway, I got integrated into some regular classes, and I made some females feel very uncomfortable. So, okay, back to the self-contained room. Now, I guess, I mean, I understand it now that I'm older, but when you have feelings trapped inside, I guess I had a lot of anger built up. That's why I was like doing this stuff to my sister and the animals and stuff. But anyway, I remember I was mad one day. They had this little thing called a rainbow device. It's this little thing. This is before like touch screens and stuff. I mean, it's old school technology. I took my pencil, I started stabbing it, and the teacher's like, "What are you doing, Andy?" I'm like, I'm gonna keep this G-rated, but I said some not very nice things to the teacher, so off to the office he goes again. Well, anyway, it's not working there. And finally, I get into it with another student, and I threaten to kill him with a stapler. And I get sent home from school that day, and I'm like, I'm not going back. I told Mom I wasn't going back there in the morning. So, okay, here I am, out of school again, so now we try Parkway East. That was Parkway West Middle School. Now we're going to Parkway East Middle School. And long story short, another self-contained room, more mainstreaming, same problems, bam, okay, this isn't working. So y'all know what an IEP meeting is, right? We go to the IEP and they're like, oh, this isn't working. The school's just like, oh, we can make it work, we can make it work, we can make it work. And they keep trying and trying to make it work. Well, anyway, it's not working. So I finally end up in child psychiatry. I end up basically in the mental hospital for younger people. St. Louis Children's Hospital. They put me in the hospital. They take me off all my medicine. Within about a week, things start going a lot better. So then I come out of the hospital, and there was basically, I couldn't go back to school, so basically I'm sitting at home for a whole semester. Well, anyway, my dad's secretary said, okay, there's a small school in western Kentucky called Shed Academy, which sadly is no longer in business, and they specialize in learning disabled children. Well, anyway, I go down there for one summer, and in one summer, I mean, I progressed 3 years. I'm like, wow. I mean, all it was basically, I go to the school, and they know how to deal with behavior problems, and instead of giving in to me when I threw a temper tantrum, I was actually disciplined. So basically, I was put in extreme structure. I mean, I did not want to go to Kentucky. I mean, I got very nasty with my parents about going in the hospital. I did not want to go to boarding school. But anyway, I ended up in Shed Academy down there, and one summer I gained back 3 years that I'd lost, and I reluctantly agreed to go back to Shed Academy for a full school year. And that first school year basically is where life really turned around. I mean, they knew how to deal with people with my problems. And like I said, a lot of the problems I think were from some of the medicines and stuff, but the biggest thing that helped me was I was in a structured environment. So if you're having problems with your kids like this, I mean, a structured environment can be a big help. Okay, so nothing really eventful from here on out. I mean, I'm in a small private special school. Okay, age 16 rolls around, and I'm actually 15 and a half. I couldn't wait to drive. I drove my first car when I was 14. It was out in Lynchburg, Virginia, my pop-pop's pickup truck. Well, anyway, here's where things start getting a little bit more normal. I get my first job at 16. Again, I probably had the maturity level of maybe a 10 or 11-year-old. So, I mean, I'm way behind, okay? But Mayfield McDonald's, I mean, through a work-study program, I get a job, and I'm a custodian sweeping the floor at the McDonald's restaurant. And I started doing really well at that. And I stayed at this school for 3 years. My senior year of high school. Okay, I'm still, maturity, I'm still a few years behind. And I'm integrated into a small Christian school, and that goes pretty good. After that, I graduate high school and go off to college. It took me 1995, and I graduated in 2001, so do the math. College was one of the hardest things I'd ever been through. However, I mean, what I learned in college was not really the stuff in the classroom. I mean, ABCs, 1, 2, 3s. I mean, yeah, that stuff is nice. But I learned how to take care of myself. I learned how to do laundry. I learned how to cook. I learned that, hey, you need to pay your bills. Basically, it was like, as elevator people say, in between floors from child to adult. So, and the reason I was able to go to college, raise your hand if you know what the ADA is. Have you ever heard of an act called the Americans with Disabilities Act? Well, anyway, the Americans with Disabilities Act, the same law that puts ramps on buildings and stuff, also covers people like me with mental disabilities. And I was afforded luxuries such as untimed testing, free tutoring, and stuff like that. And I was able to take, I took the bare minimum course load. I eked through college with a 2-point-something, I've done that, 2.5, 2.6, barely graduated, but I did it. And I mean, the big thing about college is that is where that's when I started to like myself. Because all through, when I was going through all these problems, I hated myself. I felt defective. I felt like, how come all these other kids are normal? And look at me, I get picked on. Retarded Reamsoid, did you take your control pills today? Stuff like that, and I'm like, I mean, it really hurt. But then I get to college, instead of, say, 200, 300, several thousand people in a school, here I am in a school with 7,000 people. And, I mean, the only thing I ever got picked on in college for was riding up and down the elevator. And I'll never forget that. I mean, I was in the Fine Arts building. That was my favorite elevator to ride. And apparently, the people on the second floor caught wind of that. And they'd all gather up on the elevator. They'd all cheer. They'd laugh. And they'd say, okay, they'd say, ring the alarm or whatever. I'd press on the bell button, make it go off. They'd all cheer. So they were laughing at me, not with me. But at the time, I didn't know. I thought they were my friends. But, you know, when you see your name on the bathroom wall, the weird elevator guy, you know, okay, maybe they're not being nice. But anyway, the biggest thing is college was a time for me to grow up and mature and realize, hey, I'm normal, because through the SSLD, which was Services for Students with Learning Disabilities, I made some very good friends. It was nothing like that self-contained room at Parkway West. It was nothing like Shed Academy. That's all right.
We don't talk about that.
I didn't hear that, but anyway. Okay. Now I'm in college. By the way, y'all are free to ask. I'm going to take questions, but y'all can interrupt me at any point and ask a question.
I have 2 questions. You told your story, and I'm cheering up here because I have a son with behavior issues, and he's so angry.
Behavior issues are not fun.
And I don't know what he's angry about.
Well,
what were you angry about?
Okay, this is the good part about being grown up. I'll tell you exactly, I mean, I didn't know at the time, but I was angry because I'm like, why are all these other kids having a normal life and I'm going to all these doctors and stuff? I mean, people are picking on me. I'm like, why? And I mean, then I'd do violent things because it was just, I mean, I was very bad. I mean, I'm very good at expressing, as y'all can tell now. But back then, I couldn't express so well. The biggest thing is, I mean, you need to have open communication with your child. You need to develop open communication. I mean, and don't be mad at them because of this. They can't help it.
Did you know you had a disability?
I knew something was wrong with me.
Did your parents ever tell you?
Oh yeah, I mean, they told me I had ADHD, but like I said, me personally, I believe that's just a label.
Well, there's a lot of comorbidities with Asperger's, and it's just, as a mom, you're wondering, because my oldest one, I mean, we took a vacation to New Mexico, he and I did.
Okay.
He was in 4th grade, and I explained everything to him. And he's cool with it. He's happy with himself. He doesn't
I'm
have
proud
any
of it.
friends.
I'm proud of it. I feel like I'm in a community.
Yeah, I mean, he's
Don't be ashamed.
13. He's very focused. My little one, it's hard.
Okay, who are you having the issues with? The younger one?
Yeah.
Does he have what does he have?
PDD, NOS, pervasive development disorder.
Oh,
Not
okay.
otherwise specified, severe ADHD and anxiety.
Yeah, well,
Autism.
the thing is, the good thing is, I mean, I believe we all, if we put our minds to, can lead normal lives. But the big thing is open communication with your son. I mean, don't get mad at him. Don't yell at him. Don't make him feel like he's inferior. Because my mother, I mean, like I said, I had a horrible life growing up. But my horrible life growing up was great because I had people that loved me all through. I'm not going to name any names because Alex knows some of these people, but I know some other people with some of these disabilities whose parents have basically failed them. And now he's 18 and this kid's calling me for advice that he should have gone to his parents about. Like girls and stuff like that. And like, how do I behave in this situation?
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. I just...
Where was I? I've lost track.
You were in college.
Okay, I'm in college. All right. Now, this is where I realized I'm normal because, okay, you want to know the funnest part about college for me? I love living in the dorm. Yeah, I like to ride up and down the elevator, but that's beside the point. Well, anyway, that is where I realized, that's where I got independent. My first year of college, my grades went because Daddy gives me a car. I'm out. Instead of studying, I'm out. I'm actually going to Paducah to look at the mall and ride elevators. And I'm buying Nintendo tapes. Who in here remembers the regular Nintendo? I had the only regular Nintendo. Okay, this is 1995. I had the only regular Nintendo in the whole dorm, so I was pretty popular. Well, anyway, this is when I started realizing I put the disability behind me because I was making, it was like the opposite of grade school and middle school. I was making friends. People thought I was cool. I had a girlfriend. Wow, imagine that. I thought that would never happen. That's another thing I was upset about. But the biggest thing is, let me give you an example here about part of it you have to want to. You have to want to lead a normal life and overcome this. Because, yeah, we have a disability. We have a problem. But guess what? Does anyone know any normal people in this world?
No.
So don't let anybody tell you you're not normal. Because guess what? I'll tell you one thing. A lot of y'all get picked on. Do you know why people pick on people?
Because you're different.
No, you want to know the real reason that people pick on people?
They're jealous.
Because they're insecure with themselves, so they got to go pick on someone that they think is weaker than them because it makes them feel good about themselves. So really, they're the ones, when you're getting picked on, just remember this. You ain't the one with the problem. They are. Because that's exactly. Thank you. But also, overcoming. I don't know if I've ever told Alex about this. Do you want to know what one of my biggest fears was growing up? I was terrified of elevators.
Why?
Because I've always loved elevators, but there was a time in my life where I was terrified of elevators. I'm going to use this story as a little bit of overcoming, okay? Because this is kind of emotional too, but anyway. You know what? You guys know I love elevators. Well, anyway, we went in 1986. We went to Sanibel Island, Florida. And we stayed in this little condominium building right on the beach. And let me tell you, the beach wasn't what I was interested in. Guess what the condominium had? It had one little elevator on the outside of the building. It probably went up and down maybe 2 or 3 times a day. And I ran over the elevator, started going up and down. After about 3 times, the door opens up. My mom's standing there. Andrew, you cannot ride up and down the elevator because you'll burn out the motor and then we'll have to pay for it. Well, anyway, I mean, long story short, one day I go down to the elevator. I'm going up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. I'm like, oh, I better let the rest because I don't want to pay for the motor. Up and down, up and down, up and down, bump. And I'm like, I start pressing the button, nothing happens. And I'm like, uh-oh. Then I realized the door didn't open. And here I am in this little box. And like I said, I'm a little bit claustrophobic too. And that's where I realized I was claustrophobic. I literally panicked. And I was also terrified of loud noises. This is back, there's no phone. This is back before there was phones in elevators. And you all know elevators have an emergency button you can press to call on that rings a bell. Well, anyway, I was just terrified to press that button because it rang the bell. And I just tapped it because I thought it was going to be real loud. It wasn't. Anyway, I just started pressing on the button, screaming, kicking on the door, and then finally, about 5 minutes later, the door opens, and there's some woman out there, and she's like, what's all that noise out here? Are you okay? I heard someone screaming out here. Because it was the elevator was right outside her door, and I told her what had happened. She's like, my, are you okay? I said, I mean, I was white as a ghost. She says, where are you? Well, anyway, she walks me down to my mother's, and she's like, is this your son? And Mom goes, yeah. What happened, Andrew? And I mean, I was just terrified. And at that point, I would not, actually, it must have been 80, gosh, I can't. When you get old, you forget years, okay? Well, anyway, okay, this is, I would not step foot in an elevator after that, up until, fast forward to 1990, but like I'm in the midst of having all these problems at school, okay? So life is not all hunky-dory. But anyway, I make this decision that I'm not going to be afraid of elevators anymore. And we're in that same apartment building. You know what I did that day? What do you think I did?
You were up and down television.
Yeah, and the thing is, Mom asked where I was. I go, I was riding the elevator. She goes, BS. Of course, you know what I'm saying. She says, you're lying to me. You won't ride elevators. I said, Mom, I rode the elevator. And she said, you're lying. She's like, Mom's like, Barney Andrews telling us stories. He said he rode the elevator. I was like, no, he didn't. He's terrified of those things. He sure wouldn't ride that one because he got stuck in it. And I said, Mom, come here. And I took them all in the elevator. And she was like, oh my God, you're not afraid of elevators anymore. All those walking steps for nothing. Anyway, the thing is, I made a decision that day. And like I said, I'm just trying to show you, you do have control over your life and stuff like that. I mean, you can choose to, you can make choices in your life. But anyway, long story short, okay. The biggest thing, at this point in life, I'm leading a normal life. I have a full-time job. I work on a railroad. I'm a conductor. I have a college degree. I own a house, and I'm married. And I think I'm doing pretty good for myself. And I also make money off the internet through my YouTube channel. Because I'm Roanoke's biggest, I'm one of the biggest YouTubers in Virginia now. I get 1 million hits a month. And they run ads on my video, and I make videos, and I make money off that. But the thing is, excuse me, if you put your mind to it, you want it bad enough, everyone in this room can lead a successful life. And the biggest thing is, you can be happy. It's not about money and stuff. You need to be happy with yourself. And the biggest thing that helped me overcome all these problems is my relationship with God. So, like I said, I guess I've pretty much told my life story. As I'm getting older, it's harder to remember everything. So I'm at the point now where if anyone has any questions, I would love to answer any questions anyone in this room has. Yes, sir.
You talked a bit about at college, like how you were riding the elevator, and you were saying some of the kids were laughing, but you realized later that they were kind of laughing at you instead of with you.
I still have a hard time distinguishing that sometimes.
Okay, because I was going to ask you what. I know it's probably not a single point, but what type of activities, or I don't know if you did therapy at all, what type of things in your life have helped you identify kind of more subtle emotions from other people?
Basically, y'all know the traits of Asperger's. Like sometimes you may not be aware that you're interrupting somebody, something like that. Like me and my wife still have communication issues. I'm like, look, anytime I meet someone, I'm like, oh my God, I have horrible communication skills. If I'm interrupting you or talking too loud, you may have to let me know. I mean, don't be afraid to tell someone that you may need feedback, because I got a lot of counseling and stuff. Counseling, it can help. I mean, it's a case-by-case basis. Like I said, I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to recommend anything, but I'm just saying, I mean, really, what really helped me was love and support from my family and close friends. Because a counselor is just someone who you pay to get their opinion. Yeah, they've gone to medical school and all that stuff, read textbooks, but still, when the bottom line is, all they're giving you is their opinion of what they think you should do or you should do with your kids and stuff. Yeah.
How'd you get your first job? Where's your first job?
McDonald's? My job at McDonald's.
Yeah.
Basically, I was in a special school, and the principal basically went to my super, who I'm still good friends with, and said, "Look, I have this kid. He's developmentally disabled, and he wants a job. Can you help him out?" He's like, "Yeah, I'll see what I can do with him." And some of the life skills I learned at that job, I've still carried with me to this day. And I mean, really, I'm going to tell you the truth. It can be hard to find an employer that is willing to deal with our disabilities. However, under the EEOC law, they cannot deny you a job because of your disability, and they're required to provide you what's called a reasonable accommodation. And a reasonable accommodation may just be having your boss say, "Look, you're talking too loud, you got to stay on task," stuff like that. Yes, ma'am.
What's the EEOC law?
Equal Opportunity Employment Commission. Basically, you can't discriminate against people based on race, religion, disability, you know. And the Americans with Disabilities Act also, like I said, I am no expert on the law, but the Americans with Disabilities Act also protects you against workplace discrimination too. Like if, okay, for example, suppose they fire you because they think you're not listening to them. I mean, and in reality, it's just because you're having a hard time communicating. That could be a violation. That's just an example.
Recently, I've heard on the particular brony sites, if you don't know what brony is.
Oh, I just learned that the other day. I'll tell you, it's amazing when I find, like, just researching the internet. It's My Little Pony, right? Like
Yeah.
what he's
Yeah. Yeah, this fandom is just exploding right out of 2011 and still kicking, but has run into a few problems.
You gotta realize back when I was a kid,
Anyway.
My Little Pony was the thing. I mean, it was popular back then. Go on and ask the question.
But anyway, I lose my thoughts just about.
You're talking about bronies. You're talking about bronies. You had something you saw on the
There was a
site.
particular thing that I found on the site that involved someone getting fired just because he was a bro. Just because he liked My Little Pony. Is that a violation?
Well, let me just tell you this. If someone gets fired for being a brony, my question is, would you really want to work in a place where they're going to fire you for something like that? But that's someone being stupid. I don't know if there's laws. I mean, being a brony is a choice. Having Asperger's is something you can't help. So I guess from a legal point of view, if they really wanted to fire someone for being a brony, I guess they could.
What's a brownie?
Someone that likes My Little Pony, I guess.
Look at Miguel's drawing and you'll get the
There's a
idea.
boy that likes male.
Oh yeah, a boy that likes. Yeah, I agree. And
There's
really,
nothing wrong with
there's
that.
nothing wrong with liking My Little Pony. When I was a kid, I thought it was
I
awesome.
did. Shoot. Yeah.
It's
For
okay.
real.
Yeah, I know we got more questions in this room.
Okay.
What's so cool?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we're all done here, and we all walk around, we still going to be here.
He's asking if you'll still be here.
Oh yes, I'm going to be here for. I ain't rushing off.
Okay, good. Well, I want to ask a question.
Ask me whatever you want. There ain't no such thing as the only stupid question is